Welcome to A Lunch with Biggie, a podcast about small business and creatives sharing their stories and inspiring you. My guest today creates characters that are strong and powerful and unique, just like her. She's created a brand where femininity and independence meet. Please welcome the owner, creator, illustrator, and screen printer of Migdalia Pace. What's going on, Migdalia?
Woo, what's up? How you doing, Biggie?
I'm doing well.
Excited to be here.
I'm so super excited to have you here. It's funny because I'm always wondering if you were going to be available because you're always traveling somewhere. So I was like, so when you gave me a time, I was like, yeah. Let's meet. That's perfect. Because I was like, she's probably not going to tell me she can meet like on the week, like on a Friday or on the weekend, because I'm like, it's usually one of those. Cause I'm like, she's probably traveling somewhere. So I do appreciate it.
That's so funny. Oh no, thank you for having me.
So first question I always ask, what is your go-to sandwich or I guess we'll go-to lunch?
Well, I'm not big in sandwiches, but lately I do like the smoked fish dip, and then I put tomatoes with toasted bread and cheese on it, and that's my to-go.
Do you when you that's your to-go, but is that like, do you put it in, like, do you sometimes heat up the cheese and all that stuff and then put the fish dip on top?
I do. What I do, I toast the bread first, and then put some butter, and then after I toast it, I put the fish dip, and then I cut some like cherry tomatoes, and then I put the cheese on top, and then it's like so good. And then that's it.
I'm going to, the next time we meet, if I can somehow pull it off, when we're both doing an event somewhere like on a Sunday, I'm going to try to go to, there's this guy that does amazing fish dip, but one of the things that he also does, he does these like, and I don't know why, because I'm not a fan of this, but he does like a pickled jalapeno that I'm not in it. So, and it goes with the fish dip, and that takes it to another level because it adds like a little bit of that sweet. It's like a sweet pickle, but then you got a little bit of the heat of the jalapeno. So I'm gonna make what you just described. I'm going to make that with that, and then two, I'm gonna try to see if I can pick some up and bring it to you so that you can.
Well,
so
please,
you can try
because
it.
That's good, because I'm not into jalapenos, and my husband is into spicy, and he made me try one with jalapeno in it, and it's pretty good.
Yeah. It was kind of funny. I wasn't expecting it. So tell my listeners, tell them a little bit about your story, like who you are and what made you decide to kind of come up with your brand.
Well, it's all happy accidents that I don't take for granted. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and then I went to high school for fashion illustration. So that was my main thing, and I did all this art stuff. I moved to the States, didn't do shit for a long time. And then I was invited to an art festival, to an art show in West Palm Beach, and you had to do theme shows. So that's what I started doing. The first theme show was recycle. So I have to think of something with recycle in my art that I haven't done in so long. So by that time we had we can print fabric and my art into fabric. So I created these upcycle bags and stitch them into fabric, print them in fabrics and stitch them into bags. And then that's how I started selling them. And that's how it all started. So the mermaids came like 5 years after, like it was another theme show about Day of the Dead. And I drew that, and everybody started loving it. It was outselling the shit that I was doing. And then my daughter started saying, "You should make mermaids." I was like, "I don't think so." And then I made my first one. I was like, "Oh, well, hello, mermaid." And here I am today. Isn't that crazy? It's like nothing was planned.
So just to kind of recap. So you started with, you basically, because of an art show, you created a product which was like bags, upcycling bags and just selling that. When was that? What year was that?
It was 2010.
Okay.
2010.
And then around 2015, 2016, that's when the next one came, where it was like, you're going to do, because your style is very, I would say it's like Day of the Dead. Well, they call like Catrina, which is like an underwater Day of the Dead mermaid style character. And so you did that like whenever, like 2015 or so, and then that just took off.
Yes, the mermaids were outselling everything else, and it was something that it wasn't expected. I didn't expect that at all. And then I phased out the bags because that's a lot of time consuming, and
Yeah.
it takes a lot of labor, and a lot of people don't value the labor that you put in, and then they want it for less. And then I wanted to do something that you can see the art and it was wearable, so that's why I started doing shirts, and it was working for me, and that's why it's been working so far. So that's what I'm doing.
That's amazing. And yeah, I was kind of curious where it came from, like the inspiration to do the mermaid. So it's funny that an art exhibit created it, you liked it, and then all of a sudden it went. And it's true, like I will tell you that I absolutely love the fact that when I see one of your shirts on someone, I automatically know it's yours, and I automatically go, "Oh, that's a Migdalia," and they go, "Yeah,
That's
it
so
is,"
cool.
and it's like the best feeling because I was like, "Oh yeah," I'm like, she's a boss. I was like, is usually what I tell them. I was like, she's a boss. I was like, her stuff is awesome. So there, and it's
Oh,
always
thank
cool to
you.
see. So now I also know that you screen print. So like, did you learn to screen print for the art show, or was it something that you just decided to take on to learn how to screen print?
No, I've learned after, like I've been screen printing for pretty much like 3 years. I used to outsource my shirts, but you don't have control. I used to buy the shirts that I used to buy my shirts and then take them to a screen printer and they'll
Yep.
screen, but you had to have a minimum. And then if you have an online shop, it's very hard to control the inventory. And if you want one shirt, you have to print 12 shirts of that, or it doesn't matter, you can switch the styles, but it didn't make any sense. And then after that, I was like, it's better for me to have control of what I do. And then I start learning how to screen print. And I had a lot of good friends or artists that are screen printed that taught me how to do it in practice, And then from then I started doing it, and it's the best thing that I ever decided to do. It's the best feeling too, because you feel you're creating your whole product from start to finish. So that's how pretty much it started the screen printing. So it's never too late to learn something new and
Yeah.
progress. And eventually, if I keep growing, maybe I can outsource it because the production, you can only give so much of yourself, right?
Correct.
You can only do so much of you.
Yeah.
So, but in the meantime, this is what works, and I love it. I really enjoy it.
That's awesome. So you and I actually met. It's funny because you and I met. I think it was like my second time doing Atomic Holiday Bazaar over in
Yeah, you're a butt
Sarasota.
behind me.
Yeah, we were like butt to butt because it's like a
Butt to
crammed in
butt.
event, and I got to basically hear her and I got to see her brand, but then I also got to experience her energy, which is what I loved. That was the thing that caught my attention the most, is that her energy is like, you could tell she's got a passion for this. And it kind of, and it radiates to the art. So that's one of the things that, like, to me, that was like the one thing that I saw and mixed in with the hustle. Cause then like you and I were talking and you're like, oh yeah, I live in South Florida, but then like, cause you live in like in the not Palm Beach, right? It's like Point St. Lucie.
I used to live in West Palm Beach, and
Okay.
then I've been in Stewart for 6. When I met you, I was in West Palm Beach, but now I
Okay.
live in Stewart, which is not that far
Yeah, not that far.
from West
So
Palm Beach.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
basically, but the amazing part is you live in like Stewart area, but you're driving all over the place because you do events in Cocoa, you do events. I've seen you in Sarasota, Cocoa, Sanford, like all in my neck of the woods. You have no problem driving. So I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit
No.
about that, how, like, what made you decide to go that route, and then what makes you, and really the big one is because you also do a lot of different events, like 2-day events and different events. So my question to you is how, and maybe you could help our listeners, and heck, even me, because I'm trying to
Yes.
find new places. How do you find new places to sell at, or that you think are good,
Uh-huh.
are going to be possibly good locations, or like, what's your thought process, or like the process to deciding on where you're going to go, maybe a new event that you want to sell at or something like that?
Well, for me, you have to, sometimes you don't know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
You just have to explore your possibilities. I pretty much, like, I love music festivals. This is something that I really love, and then I do very well. So based on that, I look for other music festivals and art festivals and seafood festivals because I have mermaids. So I think I want to branch out everywhere because I want to be, it's like a grassroots. You start creating a following everywhere you go. And I don't mind traveling anywhere. I've gone to Tennessee. Oh my God, I keep saying Utah, but it's not Utah. I think it's Iowa.
That's still pretty far. Migdalia. That's freaking far.
It's very far. Listen, it's so worth it. So my suggestion to everybody is you have to try shows. It doesn't matter. You have to try all the shows that you can. It's going to take you a while to find out which one are the best for you. Because what somebody can tell you is good for them, it might not be good for you. And you might be discouraged because people say, oh, this show is shitty and whatever. But then you do well. So you never know. So once you have, and sometimes you have to do a show a couple times. Some of them, no, you're like, no, this is like, this is not going to work out.
Yeah.
But some shows, sometimes they have like, maybe it was bad weather or something happened that you did okay, but you might do better. So I suggest to everybody, give yourself a 1-year trial. Try as many shows that you can, different places. Google, that's what you Google. If you don't see applications, reach out to the places, email them, call them, because sometimes they don't have the application online. There's resources out there. You have your computer and you're searching. And ask people. There's vendors that recommend shows to me, and then I just write them down, and then I remember. Sometimes I don't, but I usually remember. But that's it. But you need to do it at least. Give yourself a year, and then after that, you say, okay, I'm not gonna do this show. I'm gonna do this show. I might try this one again, because whether people, and sometimes if I do certain shows in certain places, they're not my demographic. I'm like, this is not working for me. So you never know. So if somebody suggests you something, listen, but you should always try it.
Yeah.
That
makes sense. That makes sense. And it's funny because I know that Kelly from Broad Spirit Care, he does now he does a bunch of events because of your recommendations that he started doing. And last year that's kind of was his big thing, was he was doing a lot of those 2-day events, especially like in Cocoa and Melbourne and all those areas.
Yeah.
And they've been well for him. So he keeps going back. So which is good. He keeps telling me to go. So
yeah, you need to go.
And one of the things I'm kind of curious. So like one thing I'm curious, because especially being a small brand, or like, when we're small businesses and stuff like that, how does it's always tough for me because in your mind, obviously you look at it 2 ways as a small, at least I look at it when I go somewhere, like let's say Sarasota, where I got to like spend the night somewhere else and I got to do all these things, all those things add up. Those are all costs. So then therefore you got to be able to like, sometimes you have to look at it 2 ways. One, I'm going to expand my reach because more people are going to meet me and learn about my brand. But then at the same time, you can say that, but if you're not getting sales, then you're kind of getting upset because then you're like, well, I didn't get any sales. I drove all the way out here. I had the expenses, the hotel, all these things. And in your case, like, because you're doing clothes just like me, it's not like you can just pack your stuff up and fly somewhere. Like you actually have to probably drive somewhere. You can't, it's not like you're shipping 2 little boxes. You're shipping, you're like me, your entire car is like to the brim with like merchandise.
Yes.
To do. So, so all those things add up. So like, are there any, like, that's kind of one of the big things for me that sometimes I have to like, I think twice, like, okay, is it worth it for me to do this and spend all this money for all these events and at the same time go far away? But at the same time, if you don't go out there, then more people don't know who you are. Do you understand the struggle?
That's the risk that you have to take.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like for me, it's worth it. Like if I don't try, I'll be so upset because I've been doing this for a while enough that I know what works for me and what moves. So music festivals for me is a no-brainer. And I look at lineups too of the music festivals. And sometimes I don't even know, but I think is that my demographic is in that group. And I know that even though I don't do as well, I tried it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, that's what I say, like you have to do your research on shows for a year to find out what's best. And then you can see, I was like, if this is what's working for me, this type of events, then you feel better like risking yourself to travel
Yeah.
doing that same style of shows. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So but you have to take the risk. If
Yeah.
you don't take the risk, you will never know. And yeah, you might lose. You lose some and you win some. I have a lot of losses, but at the end, it was worth it to me in my mind that I did it. I knew what worked. I knew what I'm not gonna do again. Because if you're scared of that loss, you're never gonna grow.
So I know you have a family. So, and obviously
Yeah.
there's travel involved. So and I know sometimes your family travels with you. Does your family travel sometimes with you? Cause I mean, obviously some places it's a weekend thing. So you're gone, or is it just you solo? How do you usually, how's it usually work depending on, or is it depending on the event and the location is what you're going to do?
It's I mainly solo because my daughter is 15, so she's in high school. There's certain shows that are very special to us that she can skip a school and then she can come with us. We can all go, but my husband always have to stay until she starts driving. Then he can come more often with me.
Yeah.
She can stay home a little bit. So it all depends. It's mainly solo, and then if we can all go, they can come with me. They come with me, which is awesome, and I love that. I try to balance family, and it's very hard. Multitasking is it's real, but it's not real. You're always gonna fail somebody. You have to be aware. There's always going to be sacrifices. You have to have a very supportive husband, which I do, and it's very supportive. You know, my family is very supportive of me, and without them, I couldn't do this. Like have the freedom to explore and do what I do. Um, but it's conscious, and my travels are. I try to limit myself like it's a weekend thing, not like a whole week, because I want to go back home.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be with them. They're my priority. So it's a balance. Sometimes it's more and sometimes it's less, but you have to be, you know, realistic about it.
Yeah. Are you mostly in the most cases, and obviously we're in a pandemic, so we'll kind of, I know the answer is going to be a little different. Would you say you're doing, because obviously this is your full-time job, so are you going every weekend selling somewhere, or is it like 2 or 3 times a month? What do do you have like a balance of what you're kind of, because you're right, there is a balance on that, and where it kind of, how to like to do that, and obviously going back and forth, traveling to different places.
Yeah. Well, right now I have a goal. My husband recently quit to work with me. So our goal, yeah, it's really awesome.
I
So
know.
he's the back. He's always helped me on the back end, all the online stuff and SEO, because that's what he did. He was a marketing director. So right now our goal is I'm gonna do as many shows as I can this year. It's all in numbers, right?
Yeah.
To set us for the future to what comes next, because I can't be doing events every weekend all the time. I'm only one, you know what? You can do all so much. I love doing events. It's like a high that I get just to meet people and talk. It's not only the selling, it's the fact that the connection that you meet with people, that they become even your friends. It's the most beautiful thing that I would never let that go, for sure, 100%. But I want to do bigger things with what I do. And, there's a time for everything. And I think this is my time to kill it, and then go to the next step.
No, so I like
that's the plan.
I like that. And I'm excited because obviously now you got extra people in the group there. I mean, he's helping, but now he's really helping.
So beautiful.
So yeah, I was going to say, it's gotta be pretty amazing to do. Yeah, that's really impressive. Do you have any advice, since obviously you do a lot of events? I'm always kind of, I always tell people, like, when you do an event, obviously go and, like you said, talk to other people, find out what other markets are going to, it's always nice to be able to kind of get your stuff set up as soon as possible. So that way it gives you a little roaming time to be able to mingle. But do you have any advice for people since you do so many events, that you kind of feel are crucial things that you wish you would have known, or that you would tell someone starting out, like doing an event, like, you definitely need to have, pack snacks, some of them are like no brainers, like a good tent or weight and stuff like that. But like, do you have any tips or anything like that for folks that are doing events, or maybe, are thinking of doing more events further away?
First of all, have beer. That's the number one. A cooler would be so you can share with others if you have grumpy neighbors. That helps you break the ice. I still don't learn from my mistakes because I just lost a 10. It's been 6 months that I lost another 10. But so, make sure you have double weight. Oh, it's over preparing. A lot of weights. Don't get discouraged about the rain. Always have snacks and waters. But pretty much be prepared for rain, for anything that happens. Because sometimes you have to lower your tent, which I don't, and that's what happens. So listen to me, but don't listen
how much weight are we talking about, by the way, when you say overweight? Because I know a lot of people, sometimes I laugh when I see like the little like 10 pounders that people put, like the little round ones. So like, what are we talking weight wise? Are we talking
like 40 per leg would be, because I sometimes had 10, like even with the last thing that happened to me, I had like a lot of weight, and my tent has a lot of weight because I put my clothing on the tent, but since I have so much weight in the front, it pushed it forward with the wind. So I should learn, right? But I 40 per leg pretty much, and like if it's windy, lower your tent. Like all that stuff, it's no joke. Like wind does not joke.
Oh yeah, it'll pick it up like a kite. It'll pick it up like a kite.
Oh
and launch that thing.
Yeah, like no other.
What about, since I know your husband? Obviously, you have your husband knows some ideas with online, and you do sell quite a bit online. Do you have any advice on selling online?
He's doing more like, we're starting to preparing to do ads, but for me, let's not talk about it like for what I know. Without me just do social. For me, it's the most important thing to reach out to people. I'm doing a lot of videos showing what I do, the process.
Behind
people
the
love
scenes,
that,
which I love. Yes,
behind the scenes, it's fun. I love it. It's fun. You can add up, and don't make it very raw. I don't like to be like, putting my makeup on, and I want to be very real of what I'm doing and realistic, so people know what the grind is about. It is fun. And talk to people. Do a lot of I like to do people name if I do a new art piece, to name it. That gives them like, they feel like they're part of what I do, and I love it. Just have a conversation with posts. It's not all about you, and then share things from other artists, because that's your community. I feel you get tired of like me, it's me. It gets pretty, you
stop listening when it's just you talking. Like, when it's just, or at least me, or bye my stuff. It's
bye.
Yeah. If you mix it up and can provide that behind the scenes, share some other stuff, share any little thing like that. I think it always helps when it comes to that
funny
stuff.
Yeah, please, be funny, laugh at yourself. That's the best thing. It's like, chillax, people, chillax.
Yeah, for sure. No, I totally get that. How do you measure success?
For me, is the fact that I'd be able to take care of my family. That's pretty huge. The fact that I created a path for myself to do what I do. Because sometimes a lot of people are gonna say no, or they're gonna doubt. You're not for everybody, which is okay, but don't be discouraged because somebody said no. But the fact that with what I do, I still create and people love it. Something that I created, that's huge. That's success for me.
Yeah.
People coming in to me that they love the art, that it speaks to them. You don't have to sell. You just, their reaction and the love, that's what's successful. For me, I made it.
That I know, I totally agree with you. Like I do, I'm like you in the sense that I do get a high when I sell at events. I absolutely love the interaction. I love talking, whether it's like how I came up with this idea, or talking sandwiches, or any of those things. Those are all things that like, it's exhausting. And as you know, like to have to, because you and I are every time you and I are pretty much, if we're setting up tents and we have our clothes, we're usually the last ones coming out, and we're just loading up our cars and everything, because we just have so much stuff. And but at the same time, like, it's exhausting, but I love it. It's one of those where
it's like special. Like, how can you have somebody that you see the best in people every time they come to your booth? Sometimes people don't like it, but you get a reaction. And just the fact that somebody appreciates and buys something that you randomly made out of your head, it's insane to me. And the joy that brings them, it's not better high. And the conversations that I have people like random, like about them and their family and their kids, about, it's so beautiful. I can't change it. That's the best thing of what I do.
So tell me a little bit about like the process, because like obviously I know you do, there's such a different variety of characters that you create, but then you also have done quite a bit like astronomy, like you've gone that route as well. So like, is there like, when you go through the process, is it like one of those where like, hey, I'm going to do a series and this is my series, or is it like this just came into my head, now this is the next character that I'm going to bring, into the universe?
That's a good question, and it's like always very random. The Zodiac came about because I sometimes you don't know what to draw. I was like, what should I draw next? So my daughter's sign was Capricorn, so I was like, oh, I should do one and make her. And then I posted her, and everybody's like, where's my sign? I was like, oh shit. Okay, I guess Zodiacs it is. So I did Zodiacs, and it's the best thing that I've done. It was like, it's amazing. The reaction is so fun. So right now I'm like going back to that Day of the Dead. So it's whatever clicks. Sometimes I see a color, sometimes I think of something, and then sometimes I think I'm gonna draw something and it ends up something different. So I don't think it's never planned. It should be planned. And I think I planned something, but it never turns out to be. But I don't know, it's a flow. And then I take what it comes, whatever, it's spontaneous. So that makes it more fun.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. And it's funny because I'm trying to become more, I'm starting to do more like wholesale with businesses. And so because of that, I'm starting to do it where I'm trying to think more in the sense of like a series or a release at a time, because it's easier than to go, because then it's easier obviously to go to to your wholesalers or to your people and say, hey, these are my new products that are coming out, as opposed to which, because I'm very good at this, where I'm like, this is coming out in February, this is coming out in March, these two things are going to come out this way, and then sometimes I'm good, but then sometimes I'm not, and then I'm like, oh, I got this idea, we're dropping 2 things this month, because I'm the same way as you. I'm like, oh, I want to go do this.
Oh my god.
So and then you're like, but then when it's okay when you're trying to do it to your like your online store, because obviously you want to create content and product, but when you're trying to like do this, when you're like I could see buyers going, oh yeah, like, relax, like, like give it to us. Give it to us one at a time, or give it to us in like chunks, and like let us know what's going on.
I know.
So that's kind of where I'm at now, where I'm trying to get a little bit more. I'm trying to think a little bit more like
as a collection,
as a collection theme, or up ahead. But then at the same time, some of my ideas are never like that. My ideas are always, you know what I mean? It's the same as you.
Scattered.
It's scattered. It's like, or something inspired me, and all of a sudden it went from, oh, I really wanted to do this, to, or hey, this has been in my notebook for months or for years, and then all of a sudden, like, just now I want to do it. Now I got the urge. I want to do it now. So it's like, it has no, there's no rhyme or reason.
Yeah. I can totally relate. I feel the same way. It's just what my brain tells me to do. But like, I think I have a thought that it's constructive to do, and my brain's like, no, let's do something else. I was like, okay.
How much of the business side, or do you go by like, or at least is it mostly by like gut? Like, do you sometimes go by gut instinct on like, even with creations of like, this is what I want to do? And then how many times, and how many times have we had, because I feel like you're similar to me in that aspect, where I like, it's a gut feeling, but then how many times do you ever have those where you're like, oh, this is gonna kill, and then it doesn't kill? Do you ever get those? Those are the worst, by the way.
Those are the worst. I was like, she's so awesome. Why they don't like it? What's wrong with them? But then I had ones that are like, oh shit, yeah. It's weird. You're totally correct. It's like, I had like a lot of good ones that majority of my shit is like gut feeling. But sometimes I have, like you, like a gut feeling that this is gonna kill it, and then the one that I thought it wasn't gonna kill it, killed it, and that one didn't kill it. I was like, oh, okay. but that's how you learn, because
Yeah.
that's art. It's whatever speaks to them, and that's the
Yeah.
process. And then you should never I get sad like at the moment. It's like, oh, but she's so cute.
Well,
but nobody likes her. But
but the
that's
question
okay.
is this, how many times later, because, and that's the other part, because we're always, obviously I get tired of looking at my inventory. And so sometimes I just want to be like, put it a sale. But then at the same time, I also look at it as, well, just because she's not, and like in your case, oh, no one likes her, she's not pretty. But just because you don't like her now doesn't mean in 6 months, all of a sudden she doesn't become the hottest thing and everyone wants her.
No,
You know what I mean?
that's
So
true.
then that's always that, like, that's always that balancing act I always have as well, that it's like, well, I don't want to lose faith on her because I like this. But at the same time, I'm like, well, so that's always the tough part for me too, is like, well, it doesn't really sell well. Should I still bring it? But then I'm like, well, maybe I should, because you never know. It might get hot today.
No, it's true. And then think about it, like, you only reach out a small percentage of people. So you should think about it that way. Like, only certain people, algorithm or whatever, saw it. And then just because of that, you're going to be like, oh, I don't want her anymore.
Yeah.
No, that's why I get sad at that moment. But then she's coming to my show. Who cares?
Exactly. No, I
She's
get it.
going.
I get it. No, I totally get that. What advice would you give someone if they were going to if they wanted to start something, and kind of, either just kind of are a little gun shy and starting, and they don't know where to start, or they just don't know if they want to do it or not?
Okay, so it'd be good if they're artists, start with prints, small things, go to a little vending show. Don't get discouraged if they don't sell much in that one. Like I said, you need to do a lot of those to find out what works for you, what product works best, because maybe what you have for you think it's good, but then you learn people's reaction. Not that you always have to, once you do it a lot of times, you know what works. But at the beginning, it'd be the feedback of the people, and for you to see what people react. But you need to just do it. Don't overthink it. Open an Etsy store. That's the easiest way. Don't get discouraged either, because there's a lot of people. But you should start with something. Yeah. Don't say you're gonna do it. Just do it, and then you have to keep trying. Don't stop because of the first try.
I mean,
it's a hard work.
Yeah, you're a great example of that, because I mean, think about it. You started off with bags. And you went from bags to, doing bags. And then all of a sudden you went from bags to, hey, this is actually working. And it was shirts and mermaids, and Day of the Dead. And so a lot of these things are, that's kind of always the being able to understand and be able to be adaptive, and be able to be like flexible, and be able to pivot when you need to, and then see, hey, this is what the people want. So this is what I want to give them, and it's like, this is what I noticed. So a lot of times you have to kind of be open to that. And sometimes it's hard when you're creating something, if you're a creator, that's always a tough one. Cause you're like, well, this is not what I like to do. And I was like, yeah, but this is what this is what's selling right now. And this is what's, you're kind of, then try to at least do a few more of those. You know what I mean? Like, keep going. Like you said, maybe those people don't like the prints, but they like it on, I don't know, on a sticker. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, I'll do some more stickers on it. And that's always the thing. I always tell people, like, try to figure out a low cost version of it where you can kind of get in to do it. And then from there, you can always build up. There's no reason to you can always have, champagne taste for the beer budget. Start small and go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you build up to it. And then if you, and who knows, maybe you at the end still like going that way because it's small, and you just start adding more pieces to it.
Yeah. It's like, it's very surprising what works and what doesn't, and how much you learn doing this process. I've learned so much, and I have a lot more to learn, because I want to do so much stuff too. But I think you have to listen, be open. Sometimes I'm not that open, but I'm being very honest. Yeah. It's hard, like you said. It's very hard as an artist to be like, no. But you have to try to be open and listen. And it doesn't mean that you have to do whatever they tell you. But if you're starting, that's how you know what works. You can do a little bit of sampling and doing more shows, and then taste what works and what doesn't. But just do it. Just don't think about it. Just it's gonna be fine.
what have you noticed for, because I know you sell stickers and I know you sell, which is very interesting to me because you sell everything from sweatshirts to a lot of tank tops, a lot of, you know, and a lot of those are things obviously I know that you wear as well. So I think that helps, but like you do t-shirts, and sometimes I think what helps in your case, especially since you're printing it yourself, is that you can take, it's a smaller sample size as opposed to, you know, like your design and being able to kind of go that route. Cause that's always a tough one for me to try to figure out like, well, what other items can I bring in? But then there's that cost element and things like that. So you kind of have to be like, sometimes be careful or figure out ways of how can I do this, and bring it in, especially if you're doing it yourself. Then yeah, definitely it's good to be able to try different things.
Yes, you have to try different things, and that's what I went to the ride to learn how to screen print. So I had more control of the inventory, and because it gets very hard once one example, if you get an order and then you only need one shirt and then you have to print 12, you don't have them right now, and then you do show, it's very hard. It became very hard for me.
Yeah.
So the smarter way for me was like to have that control, that the full control artistically and printing and the shirts, you know, so it works.
Do you, out of curiosity, because I've talked to some people that they actually have two separate inventories. They do like an online inventory and then they have like when they go and sell at market inventory. You have something like that, or is yours, are you more like you have one inventory and then basically you update as you sell at your event to your Etsy, or do you have like kind of like a stash that stays on Etsy and your online shop, and then you have like your market inventory? How do you do that?
Well, for my screen printings, I have blanks of all the shirts. So if somebody orders, I do it cost like to order.
Really? So you actually,
yeah, I do.
So let me, now I'm curious about this. So right now, like if you, so obviously anyone can almost order as long as you have the size of the shirt. If they order, like I want, you know, I want this one, then you just go and you actually print every single, you're printing every single time. So like there could be a time where you have 5 different designs to screen print at a time, or instead, so you do that.
Yeah, because it's hard for me to like have 2 inventories, especially I do so many shows, to have that control, because I can sold out in that shirt in that show.
Yeah.
So it's easier for me to have all the shirts out the blank, and then when people order online, I can made to order, which is kind of special too, in a way, so they don't think that I like, here it is, and if I have it, I can send it. But usually that's what I do. And except the direct to garment printer, I don't print those. These are awesome people in Palm Beach that we have partnered with. Those I have to have separate, because those are, I have to order, you know, like screen print, like by a dozen or how many, and then I have to put those aside. But other than that, the screen printing that I do, it's all made to order if they order online.
Wow. And then you basically then you actually create your, like, hey, I got this event coming up. So then you actually create like, I got these events coming up. So then you actually can prep your, obviously what you're going to bring to the event. To do that.
Yes.
Wow.
I have so much stuff.
I was gonna say that's insane. So does everything fit in? Are you like doing this out of your garage, or do you have like a space for this? Where are you doing all this? All through your house?
I'm doing this out of my house, out of my garage. It's getting smaller as it goes. So hopefully after this year, we'll figure out a way to get out of my garage.
Yeah.
And then my car is getting too small for everything I have. So eventually I have to invest in a bigger van for it. So it's all a process like this. I'm growing in a way that I don't have to make a loan or whatever. I'm growing within my means. So these are things that are goals. So if like right now, all these things are part of my growing process. So I know that this is in the future. This is what I want. That's why I'm trying to do as much as I can, so I can just set all those goals to find a space and have a big, you know, all those things that go into growing a business.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
the next steps of the business.
Yes.
No, that makes total sense. This is actually the room that you see, and obviously the listeners can't see it, but the room that you see behind me, our house is like a three car garage when we bought it, but it's not really a
Oh,
three car.
that's nice.
It's like a 2-car with like what they call it, like a bay. And when we bought the house, we were building it brand new. And so the deal I made with my wife was this. I walked in and I said, this room is mine. Like, I'm going to put a wall, I'm going to close it out, make it a room. And this room is mine. I'm like, whether I do whatever I decide to do, even though the whole purpose was Deli Fresh Threads, I was like, this is what Deli Fresh Threads will live, which has helped me quite a bit, because obviously it's a large enough room where, you know, it's like a 13.
You can do everything.
I can do everything in here. So I have like 2 rows of, you know, IKEA shelves basically on both sides of the walls, all across the sides of the walls, so that I can do it. Because obviously I don't screen print. So if I did screen print, that would be what would be inside there, or my garage probably would take over the screen printing. But
yeah, probably you'll kick out a card out of your garage so you can start screen printing.
exactly. So, which I think for me, the hard part for me is that I feel like I can't, which I admire so much people, because I was talking with Matt from Just Okay. He screen prints a lot of his stuff too. And it's very impressive, because like I'm already trying to balance everything as it is. And to do that as well, like I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it all. So it's very impressive to me that you screen print your own stuff, and, you know, and also the fact that you're doing all the traveling. It's very, very impressive. And I truly loved seeing your behind the scenes of how you evolved on your like your displays of your tent, like how you, from where you started. Like I value those things. I appreciate those things, because it's one of those things that I like harp on myself, is that we tend to forget sometimes like how far we've traveled or journeyed.
It's true.
Where we go, we only think about like where we were, and then not like how far we've come from. So to me, it's very important. I love seeing things like that. And then and it's very meaningful to me to see people like of my, like, as you say, my tribe or my community, like doing that growth, and then like going along, like we're all going on the same journey, and we're all kind of like being able to experience it and see it, and then be able to celebrate those successes as well.
Because we grow, like we see each other. It is a family. We are a family, and it's every time we see each other, it's so awesome. This feels like oh, it's home, and we can relate, which is so beautiful what we do, because everybody gets it. It's like, oh my God, you get this life. You understand the hustle and all the work that it takes to do it. That's why a lot of people don't do it. And especially as a female artist, I been with a lot of male, mainly our guys are doing this and doing road tripping. It's not an easy thing, but it's something that I really believe in and I love. If I don't love it and I don't see that I do well with it, I would never do it. Yeah. But I get how people get discouraged about but once you do it and you get it, and then you see that you're doing well, you keep going. It's all a process. But I think, we inspire each other, and I've seen you and other artists that I follow, and I see the same thing. It motivates you to do more and do better and learn from each other, and that's so cool that we support each other. I love it.
Yeah, no,
the best.
It's absolutely, it is awesome to see that, and then to see the different things. And I always laugh because my wife, she comes to some events, and when she does come to an event, she'll look, and then I always tell her, and I try to explain to my daughter as well, that I'm like, hey, I'm like there, because she's like, wow, there's so many different types of, like so many different types of people doing so many different businesses. Yeah. And I said, I'm like, that's the beauty of it. You can come up with an idea, and there's going to be someone out there that's going to be, oh my God, I've been wanting something like this, or how did I not think of this? And you're going to be like, really? But there's always someone like that. And so I'm like, I try to bring it to my daughter's attention that like, hey, I'm like, this is if you're passionate about something, even if no one else is doing it, do it. I'm like, take that chance. Do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because it's okay to be niche. Yeah. You don't have to be for everybody. Once you find that people that love your stuff, it's like, that's it. They just have to find more of them. That's all it is. That's why you have to explore yourself. So for me, it's like, it's a no-brainer to keep traveling, to find more people, because being niche, I like it.
Yeah.
I don't care. And you stick out from the rest, and then you don't have to be for everybody, and that's okay.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love that. I love it. Do you, I have one last question, and then I want to just see, like, do you, because obviously there's moments, we love what we do and we do all those things, but we have those moments where we kind of get sometimes either discouraged or unmotivated. What helps you to get out of that funk, to kind of get you to, to remotivate you? Because sometimes you're gonna have those moments where you're like, man, like, why am I even doing this? And it's like, so like, what do you do, anything, or what helps you get remotivated again?
Followers, man. I'm telling you, just a little comment that they post on your social, or they just tell you, hey, I see you, I love what you do. That's all it takes. And then I forget, I'm like, why am I complaining about? What's wrong with me? I get to do this. I get to do this.
Yeah.
And that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Because when you get into your head, then you PD. I was like, oh, important. No, it's like you have to be beyond that. It's bigger than you. It's become, at this point for me, it's bigger than me, and I think that's the main thing.
I'm just kind of curious if this happens to you. How often does that happen, where you have those moments, and then out of nowhere, some random person decides to send you a message to tell you like that? Because it's happened to me so many times where I've had those moments, and then it comes back where someone's just like, oh my God, I absolutely love your stuff. And I'm just like, and I respond always back to them like, dude, you don't even understand like how badly I needed to hear that. Like, dude, like, you really, like, you're
Let's have
like
a drink.
yeah, like, were you in my house? Because like, did you hear me talking out loud? Like, I'm crap. Why am I doing this? And all of a sudden, like, I read it. I mean, sometimes it may not happen that quick, but it does happen. But does that happen to you? Like, is that how it happens to you sometimes? Yeah.
It does. It's weird. It's so weird. And I have people sending me pictures. There's this people, oh my God, these girls, which I'm sorry to the people that sometimes reach out and they get lost on my messaging. It's like, don't take it personal. Yeah. But I have these girls, beautiful girls, that send me a picture that she was walking down the street, and then she saw another girl with one of my shirts, and they both wear my shirts, and they took a picture. How awesome is that? Listen, come on. Why am I? Oh no, I can't. I just can't. I just can't.
That is to me that is like the greatest like high there is.
Right.
Like, when you
it's
get
like,
that.
That's all you need.
I had someone tell me I've had two weird instances where like automatically like those stick to my head going, remember, because I had one guy that texted me and he was like, dude, I'm in Chicago. I'm wearing one of your shirts, and I just saw someone in Chicago wearing one of your shirts. And I was like, no, you didn't. I was like, no, you didn't. And he's like, yes. And then I had another guy who, because I always laugh, because when I used to go to Disney more often, and when we used to go to Disney, I never saw anyone wear my stuff. And I've gotten people send me messages. They're like, dude, I just saw a guy wearing one of your shirts. I was wearing one of your shirts too. I was like, did you take a picture? I was like, please tell me to take a picture. And he's like, I'm not going to be weird like that. I was like, okay, but thank you.
Yes, be weird.
I was like, be weird. I need you to be weird. But yeah, no, I totally get it. So at least it's good to know that, and I really do think that sometimes that's part of the whole aspect of the universe thing. Like I'm becoming more and more aware of this in 2020, in 2022, is that I am speaking things more into existence or into the universe, because I feel like I've kept a lot of like my brand of wanting, like, I want my brand to be known by everyone. And like, I just kind of, I sometimes don't like put it out there enough. And so it's funny because I feel like that sometimes that's the universe replying back to you going, dude, we hear you. You're doing it. And that's also a reason why I make it a point to also kind of go reach out to people and tell people that they're killing it and that they're doing great, because you never know when someone needs that little extra, especially a small business owner, to get that little extra push to get them over that hump.
Yes. Oh yeah. That's the beautiful thing that you're doing with your podcast. I think it's the best thing you do for all creators that are locally, that you giving them a voice. This is your calling too. You have like a lot of things going on, my friend.
Yeah,
I'm very proud of you. I'm loving this.
I'm still trying to, I'm not gonna lie, I still try to figure out what my calling is. And it's funny because to me it's like, I use my brand as a lightning rod, and I basically just say, take me where it needs to go. And that's kind of how I'm taking it. So I definitely appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoy it. And I do appreciate everyone that listens and has gotten something from it, because like, I just, not only Central Florida, but I like, small businesses, but it's just that those are the people that I know. And if I know as I come in contact with other small, interesting businesses, I always want to like showcase them, because to me, those are the ones that I find interesting the most, because obviously I'm a very niche brand. So like, I love the branding. I love the fact of people having that story of why they came up with wanting to do this. And then also be able to share that story, because we all got something to learn from, you know what I mean? Like, even the person that just started a few months ago, they may have some skill or knowledge that they're killing it on something that I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, oh, I want to learn from everybody. I'm like, so I get it.
No, but it's true. Yeah, what you're doing, I love, and I think sometimes we get attached of what, like, I'm trying to be more open. Like, I want to do this, but how long I'm going to do this, or I want to branch out more to other things. I don't want to be like, when you don't want to be like, this is all the only thing. You should be open that this can bring you to other things. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
And as long as you keep your mind open, not to be so narrow about it, I think that helps a lot too. And that helps, like what you said, the universe telling you what you should do.
Yeah.
It's all about you being open and taking that energy out, telling, hey bitches, I'm here.
What's up?
Yeah. Hello. What's up?
So I got one last one, and then I want you to be able to tell people where to follow you and be able to shop from you with. But like, because you said that, like, the branching out, like, have you thought of things that you're kind of like, I think my brand is going to evolve now to these areas, or things that they want to evolve to? And are those things that your goals for 2022 to kind of start implementing or bringing those things out?
Yeah, I want to do more collections, like more unique collections. I want to start doing like more clothing as in skirts. I want to do more experimental, not that much printing, but not that much. More like, like more boutique, smaller collections that are like skirts and tops. I like, but sewn.
Are we talking things like maybe like a pattern created by you drawn that becomes sublimated to then become like a skirt or something like that?
Yeah, but more like, I don't want to like more, maybe I was thinking like create like a skirt, like a very basic skirt, and then I can do some screening but on the bottom, and then I play with inks. I just want to do something very collection like, just because my background is fashion illustration, not and I took some fashion design too, but I think I always thought that I wanted to have a smaller, not all t-shirts, like have always the t-shirts, but branch out to other stuff too. And I think this year would be a good way to start. I don't know how I'm going to start because there's so much going on, but that's part of the things that I want to do. And like play with other things, I don't know. It's just all these random ideas that I want to do, but definitely do small collections for sure.
And I'm sorry, because I like your question. No, that's okay. As you talk, things come in my head, and as I listen, I'm like, all right. So I love talking to creative people, and because your mind is very similar to mine in the sense that even though I may not be the one that physically draws, I doodle everything, and I have all these ideas, and they're all over the place. But like, where do you keep all your ideas and all your things? Like, do you have a place? Do you just like draw them all like in different notebooks or different things, or what do you do with them?
No, my phone is my idea saver. I screenshot all the things that I like. I wish I could draw more. I feel like because of what I do, that I travel and then I have to print, I have less time to create, and that's another thing. That's why I need to in the future do less so I can create more. To take the time and space to do other things. I always have to squeeze in the drawing. I have to I have to think about it. So I have to schedule. I need to draw. It's not that I can come home because I still have to be a mom and a wife. And clean the house. So all that stuff, it's part of it. So it's all on my phone, and sometimes I write it down. I don't sketch as much as I would love to, but the ideas are there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the concepts, or at least what you write out, some of the concepts
Yes.
that come out. So I understand that. I get it. How can people follow you and shop and support you, and maybe see where you're selling at, and maybe if anywhere around the country that they might be able to meet you and purchase some of Migdalia from you?
You can follow me on Instagram. Is mainly my source of social, but and you can do at Migdalia Pace. It's the same handling for Facebook and TikTok, even though I don't do a lot of TikTok. I should do more. But it's at Migdalia Pace, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Migdalia. I really appreciate it. I think it's awesome, and I look forward. I know we'll end up seeing each other a few times throughout the course of the year, because I'm either
hopefully this year, yes.
I'm either going to be at an event that you're at, or I'm going to go to an event that you're at. Most likely, the goal is that I'll be selling at an event that you're also selling at. That's definitely the goal for sure. That's our show for today. Thank you so much for Migdalia for being on and having lunch with me. I love it. Definitely make sure to check her out online. Like I said, if she's at an event, trust me, you're going to want to talk to her and pick up something. Her art is killer, and you'll love it. So I definitely make sure to check it out when you go online. If you want to support, if you like the show, obviously subscribe, join the Facebook group. Someone actually brought up the comment that I should call my Facebook group, the cafeteria or the lunch table. I kind of like that idea. Maybe that's what it'll be.
I like that.
Yeah, it'll be like a little group thing where we can all kind of chat and talk about different things, and especially with the guests. Definitely make sure to subscribe. If you want to support me, check out my brand, Deli Fresh Threads. Do some shopping. Obviously, tell your friends. I love seeing sandwich selfies and anything sandwich related. So definitely reach out to me. But thank you. Until next time, keep eating sandwiches and follow your passion.